I sat at the far end of the glass-walled conference room, the kind where every breath felt monitored. Every glance a silent calculation. The air was too clean, too sterile, like even the oxygen had been filtered through a PR department. Dam he stood. At the head of the long table, basking in fluorescent glory, his suit was crisp, his smile, the perfect balance between confident and rehearsed. I didn't say a word, I just watched. He thrived under lights. Like these. It wasn't about the work for him. It never was. It was about appearances. Performance. He was the kind of man who learned just enough language from the smart ones. To impress the powerful ones. Today, he was about to learn what it felt like to reach for a crown. That didn't belong to him. My pilot project, 4 months of sleepless nights, code revisions, dead ends, breakthroughs, now sat in a folder. He was pretending to understand, not even pretending well. I could see it. In the way he held the clicker too tightly, the way his eyes darted across the room, like he was measuring reactions before he'd even said anything. He had stolen the files, or so he thought. I had stayed late last night. Told Soraya I'd be home by midnight. Then watched the clock until everyone left the office. I moved through the shadows of our department like a ghost, not out of guilt, but precision. I removed every critical file from the shared drive, copied them to my encrypted storage, and left behind just enough to bait him into walking into his own trap. It wasn't personal. Not in the traditional sense. It was strategic, because a man like Daman, my wife's brother or not, needed to be seen for what he truly was. He didn't stab people in the back. He smiled, asked you to hand him the knife. Walked on stage like he invented steel. He had come to me months ago, with his usual blend of charm and ignorance, asking for help with understanding the infrastructure. What he meant was, show me everything, so I can call it mine. I didn't say no. I said, sure, let's work on it together. And I did, because I wanted him to think he was winning. I wanted him to believe I was the fool. Now, the room was full. Executives lined the table, VPs, project managers, senior engineers, even Melin Ree, the iron-willed VP of strategy whose words could sculpt or bury careers. All of them sat ready, pens poised. Waiting for brilliance, waiting for Daman to deliver. What he'd promised. I leaned back, resting my arm across the chair beside me. My wedding ring caught the light, a small, sharp glint. Soraya's brother. My wife. My family. Some boundaries are meant to hold. Others. To be redrawn. This moment was for the redrawing. Daman cleared his throat, projecting confidence. Thank you all for being here, he began, his voice like a man who had practiced that line in a mirror. I'm excited to walk you through what we've been developing behind the scenes. A new systems integration model that I believe will streamline operations and increase productivity across departments. He paused for effect. They nodded politely. No one blinked. I could tell he was waiting for the click, that satisfying shift of the screen, the surge of visuals to carry his empty words. But what he didn't know yet. Was that the screen would remain still, the files he needed gone, the content he planned to ride to glory deleted. The only thing that would appear when he pressed that button. Was what I left behind. A single, intentional ghost. He hadn't earned this moment. He had siphoned brilliance and wrapped it in a tailored suit. But theft only works. If the owner stays silent. I hadn't stayed silent. I had stayed patient. And now, as he stood there with a clicker in one hand and a lie in the other, I could already see the cracks forming behind his eyes. His feet shifted. He glanced at me once. Quick, nervous, but I offered nothing in return. Not yet. Behind him, the screen remained blank. The company logo hovered. Waiting. The audience leaned forward, expecting momentum. DMEN turned slightly, pretending to pace, pretending this was part of the build-up, but his knuckles had turned white around the remote. His eyes flicked back to the screen. He pressed the button again. Nothing. And again. Still nothing. He tapped it this time, as if maybe force would solve what intelligence couldn't. I kept my face neutral, but inside. I felt the beginnings of justice take form. Not the loud kind. Not revenge. Something subtler, like gravity shifting. Ever so slightly, in my favor, the setup was complete. He didn't know it yet, but the spotlight he craved had become an interrogation lamp. And I? I was the quiet answer in the corner waiting to be called. He cleared his throat again, tighter this time. Looks like we're having a technical hiccup, he said with that strained laugh people use when they're bleeding inside but trying to sell. Toothpaste. A few chuckles floated around the room, but Meline didn't laugh. She narrowed her eyes. I felt the air turn colder. And reached toward the podium, fiddling with cables, blaming the network. The system, the universe, but it wouldn't help. Not. Now, not today, because the project he claimed was never his to begin with, and the only thing he had rehearsed was someone else's genius. I crossed one leg over the other and looked at the screen one last time. Soon. That room would turn. Soon. He'd realized that slithering into power. Only works if no one's watching, but I'd been watching, and now? It was time for everyone else to see. He clicked the remote. Nothing. Just the company logo. Frozen. Like a dare. Phrasing without my permission, and he got it wrong. That was worse than theft. It was impersonation without rehearsal. Julia, from finance, tilted her head, then leaned toward the director of operations and whispered something. I couldn't hear it, but I could read the rhythm of it. He doesn't know what he's talking about, does he? There's a way people whisper when they've crossed the line, from giving you the benefit of the doubt to realizing they made a mistake by ever doing so. But Damien didn't stop. He launched into another section. This one about projected optimization rates, and again, it was my language, my concept, my architecture, but delivered like a child, trying to mimic a grown-up. By the third cycle, the system is kind of smart, right? It filters out the low V-value queries like junk mail. He trailed off, waiting for a laugh. No one laughed. Not even out of pity. His attempt at relatability landed like a thud against the back wall. What I had actually designed was a self-prioritizing filter queue with layered heuristics to detect and suppress data noise based on context. There was nothing casual about it. It was precision-built to handle enterprise-scale requests in real time, but Damien couldn't describe that because he never understood it. He only knew the name of the engine, not how the gears turned. I kept my expression neutral, but inside, something had settled. Not rage, not even pride. Just clarity, the kind of clarity that only comes when the storm finally passes and you're standing in the aftermath, bone dry. While everyone else is still ducking for cover, I had waited for this moment. Not because I wanted to humiliate him, but because I wanted the truth to speak for itself. I didn't need to raise